Chapter 321, Contract, Part 2. All of you must be looking down on the students of Daoyuan class. Lu Shu thumped the table of the village head's office loudly. Why can't you rent out just 1 mu of land to us? The village head looked at Lu Shu, bewildered. It's not that. Boy, please put down your spear first. From Lu Weidong's distress, plus 333. Lu Shu only knew after coming to Lujiazhai village beside 310 National Highway that when people contracted farmland, it was usually in hundreds of mu. To only undertake the contract of 1 mu of land was indeed rare. 1 mu of land is 600 over square meters. In the city this is nothing. Why can't I have it? I came here in goodwill to aid the village's development, how can you let me leave empty-handed? Lu Weidong, the head of Lujiazhai village, was befuddled. He explained patiently, friend, we really do not contract out our land by a single mu. Please put down your spear first and we can discuss nicely. To be elected as the village head, Lu Weidong must be a powerful and influential person. Even though pressed hard by higher-ups for cultivated land protection, a single mu of land was still slightly spurned. To be honest, the country was serious about cultivated land protection. Layers upon layers of tasks exerted a downward pressure and the size of farmland could not be decreased. That was the unchanging theme year after year, such as ensuring the red line of farmland protection is not crossed. Even high school students knew that the country's grain reserve have always been maintaining at a stable but also tight level. In actual fact, it was not merely as simple as having a tight reserve. If not for the fact that imports were generally free from pressures, food security would be a big issue. Moreover, Lujiazhai village was too close to the city. Any youths with the slightest aspiration would all have left for work in the city, who would be willing to stay behind and work the land. Every day on the news there would be reports about somebody striking rich after planting some crop. Those were all nonsense, and only a shocking news would report that. A while ago, Luocheng came up with a target to strive for the annual income of Luocheng farmers to hit 9,100 yuan. This was annual income, not monthly. Lu Weidong actually hoped fervently for people to undertake contracts for the land. 600 yuan a year for 1 mu was not considered expensive. But to only obtain contract for 1 mu, what was going on? He had initially not wanted to be bothered with this youth who seemed to be a student. With his hair dyed a light blue, he was giving off gay vibes. But even though he did not bother to speak to Lu Shu was not someone who gives up easily. He stuck to Lu Weidong and spoke for a whole morning. Wherever Lu Weidong went, he would follow, adamant about getting the 1 mu of contracted land. In the end, Lu Weidong lost his patience and shouted for a few youths to get ready to drive him out. The people of the village must still be valiant and firm at times. Lu Shu realized nice talks would not work. The teenagers came up and started to shove him around. Seeing that a fight was imminent, Lu Shu smacked down upon a millstone beside him and it split into 2. Lu Weidong almost wet his pants. Let's talk things out nicely. They had therefore proceeded to discuss the issue in the office. Still, Lu Shu had no use for so much land. He had already discussed with a farmer. The farmer's son was working in Luocheng in a renovation team. He had earned a sizable sum of money and would like to bring his whole family into the city, therefore leaving behind this plot of land. It was exactly that plot of land opposite their house which caught Lu Shu's eyes. The courtyard was at the fringe of the village and was fairly remote. In this way, Lu Shu would not attract any unwanted attention if he used his special powers to till the land or something. On the other hand, the place was 1.4 kilometers south of the Beimang remains. In general, a university would expand significantly, and when that happens, the entrance will definitely be facing the city. If nothing goes wrong, the entrance to the college may not be far from the place. The price of the courtyard was very low, $70,000. Hence, everything was suitable. However, the details could not be agreed upon. To Lu Shu, it was all because of the difficulty in agreeing to the details. Lu Weidong also hoped to delay Lu Shu's departure. His own grandson was now studying in the city. He would try to see if his son knew any Daoyuan class students and learn something about Lu Shu from them. As it turned out, his grandson did enroll in Daoyuan class, but was later transferred to Luocheng's School of Foreign Languages. However, he learned from the person he asked that there was indeed a Lu Shu, and also verified his military rank. As for all other information, he did not breathe a single word. So secretive? Lu Weidong's grandson was completely befuddled. Why so discreet? Could it be that this student has a terrifying background? The grandson reported everything honestly back to Lu Weidong. Lu Weidong pondered deeply. What if this student before him really do have an extraordinary history and comes from a special background? However, Lu Weidong was no fool. He stalled Lu Shu while secretly asking someone to go check on the situation. Go see if there is anything out of the ordinary at Lu Yuli's place. Lu Weidong suddenly realized something. A student with special background would come over here all of a sudden to buy a courtyard and only obtain contract for 1 mu of land, in front of the doorway. Could that be the fabled blessed land? Lu Weidong heard from his son and grandson how much the price of blessed lands had been hiked up. If one such land were to appear in the village, no matter how extraordinary the person might be, he would still keep it until an opportune time to make huge profits. No matter your background, can you extend your authority into this village? Lu Weidong's lackeys trotted all the way and called him less than half an hour later. The plants are all right, so are the livestock. Everything is normal. Lu Weidong was slightly perplexed. Did you really come all the way here to aid in the development of our village? Actually, it was not that 1 mu of land could not be contracted out to give him face. Lu Weidong cleared his throat. Here, Lu Shu, how long do you wish to have this contracted land for? 80 years, Lu Shu answered. Pa. The old village head spat, what the hell? 80 years. Lu Shu was unwilling. 30 years? Lu Weidong said nicely. Why do you need it for so long? The law of the land states that contracts are at most 30 years long. 30 years then, Lu Shu accepted without a second thought. Lu Weidong was stunned. He only realized now that Lu Shu was using the tactic of starting at a high asking price then respond with a low bid. It was all because he was confused for a moment by Daoyuan class and Lu Shu's prowess. It was because he had never had any dealings with such people before. This feeling was similar to when he was making business deals with foreigners a long time ago. During negotiations, he would be easily overwhelmed. Come to think of it, was he not still like that? When confused, he was easily beguiled by Lu Shu. Now that he had come back to his senses, wasn't Lu Shu just a student? Why was he so timid? The country also had laws. Lu Shu could do nothing about it. He was nothing more than a schoolboy. Signing over the land for 30 years was not a big deal. After all, 92% of the contracted land in the country had a lease of 30 years. But the price? 800 yuan for a mu. Lu Weidong said solemnly. This price was 200 yuan higher than any other contracted land in the village. Chapter 322, Entering the Capital for Progress Report, Part 3. Lu Weidong thought to himself, just a student. Even if you have almighty powers, you still have to abide by the rules, right? In this village, he, Lu Weidong, is the rule. As for the follow-up lines to say, Lu Weidong had already thought them through. No matter what, $800 a mu. 800 yuan? How can you just raise the price like that? Lu Shu was unhappy. Ka. Lu Shu crushed the mug. So sorry, held it too hard. I heard that other contracted lands are 600 yuan a mu? From Lu Weidong's distress, plus 399. Lu Shu had done his research before coming. Why would he come before doing proper research? How dishonest of this guy. Lu Weidong looked sorely as Lu Shu crushed the porcelain mug into powder. All right, 600 it shall be. Lu Weidong realized that with his prowess, it would not be a problem for him to come back at midnight to destroy his house. Lu Weidong sighed deeply. Yes, the land can be contracted out, but can you put down the spear first? 30 years. 600 a year, a total of 18,000 yuan. Let's sign the contract. Lu Shu was also highly efficient. He wanted to complete everything fast and begin the gathering of magical power. Both Big Kitty and Naughty Pig had arrived, and there was no space at home for them. He could only find Li Xiao to help keep them in the Beimang Remains camp. Shi Fei was already furiously hurrying him to lead them away multiple times. Big Kitty was better. As long as there was meat to eat, it would not make a fuss. But Naughty Pig was different. This clumsy oaf had already upturned a few tents. Naughty Pig did not mean any harm, it only wanted to find out what was in the tents. To Naughty Pig, this activity was similar to opening treasure chests. Upturn a tent, oh there are 10 people inside. Upturn the other tent, oh there's 9 in this one. Interesting, interesting. Shi Fei and the rest really felt like slaughtering Naughty Pig. But this was Lu Shu's, and they honestly did not want to do such a thing. The students of Daoyuan class were a little ostracizing towards Lu Shu, but those in the inner circle of the Heavenly Network were actually pretty close to him. This was because they respect all who are powerful. This was a habit long since cultivated. Is Lu Shu powerful enough? To Shi Fei and the others, yes, absolutely. Lu Shu had brought Lu Xiaoyu to the Beimang Remains yesterday specially to reassure Naughty Pig and tell it not to cause any trouble. Everyone discovered that this clumsy pig only listens to Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Shu's plan was to get the land as soon as possible. Coalescence of souls still required 20-odd days. Cultivation of land was not an urgent task, but they must at least have a place for Naughty Pig to roam. With Lu Xiaoyu's restrictions, it dared not go around rooting soil from lands belonging to others, and since it could play happily in its own piece of land. As a Daoyuan class student, Lu Shu coming to buy land would surely raise some suspicions. However, it was just an ordinary piece of land. Before Lu Shu utilized the Seal of Lands, he was sure Lu Weidong would not discover anything. As for how this place would be transformed in the future, Lu Shu did not care too much. Now that magical energy rejuvenation was ongoing, there were many places that were once not blessed lands but later became one after there was a rise in magical energy. When that happened, Lu Shu had to at most admit that he was a sensory type. What was the big deal? After signing the contract, if Lu Weidong were to go back on his words or anything, legal measures aside, Lu Shu could also revert the land back into an ordinary farmland any time. With his seal of land, wherever Lu Shu goes, the place will become a blessed land. Everybody was highly efficient. In 3 days, everything was settled. The items belonging to the original tenant was not removed and were all given to Lu Shu. In the courtyard, there were also grape vines. They heard that in summer, the grapes here were especially nice. Lu Xiaoyu's mouth watered just thinking about it. Lu Shu thought that with magical energy, the grapes would probably be even nicer. In the afternoon 3 days later, Lu Shu rode on the over 2 meters tall Naughty Pig while Lu Xiaoyu rode on Big Kitty, also almost 2 meters tall. As they went down the mountain together, this was indeed a bizarre scene. When the two arrived at the village, Lu Weidong, who was enjoying a cigarette while chatting with others at the entrance, was stunned. What the heck? What's happening? A few villagers retreated unconsciously. Big Kitty and Naughty Pig seemed really ferocious. Lu Weidong stared at Naughty Pig. Never in his life had he saw this type of wild boar. The old village head's mouth trembled. Look out for your livestock, don't let them be taken. He summoned up his courage to ask from afar, Lu Shu, this is. Oh, just to guard the place. No need to worry, everybody. As Lu Shu was saying that, Naughty Pig upturned a stone seat at the village entrance that must have weighed a few hundred kilograms. From Lu Weidong's distress, plus 499. From. Lu Shu saw no need for politeness towards Lu Weidong. Honest or not, he had no plan to interact with the village head anymore. It was imperative that they both mind only their own business. He would surely not let Naughty Pig and Big Kitty harm the villagers, but if the one moo of land were to really become a blessed land, he would also not want them to have any ideas. Under usual circumstances, Lu Weidong, as the lord of his village, would try to prevail over others from the first encounters. In the end, he was badly frightened by a wild boar. It was as if they were indeed not on the same level in this world. You must restrain them well, cannot harm people. They must not cause damage in the village, nor the farmland of others. Let them play in the mountains in the day and return to sleep at night. Lu Shu told Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu nodded. Now that Anthony's soul had not coalesced, Lu Shu had no plan to tire himself out working the land. He would just settle Naughty Pig and Big Kitty there. Just at that moment, he received a call by Li Xiao, get ready to go to the capital for progress report. This meant that Nie Ting had returned to the capital. Li Xiao said just now that 82 fighters with Tier A aptitude would be there to report their progress. With Lu Shu included, it would be 83. He better not embarrass Yuzhou. There are really few people with Tier A aptitude. According to the population census, the population now stands at 1.3 billion, but isn't it already 1.4 billion? Lu Shu did not know the actual figures. Population census was itself a difficult task. Among 1.4 billion people, only 82 Tier A aptitude geniuses emerged. What was the proportion? It was frightening to just think about it. However, Lu Shu had the impression that the two Tier A geniuses in Qingzhou were still far from Class D peak ability. In other places without remains, the level should be similar. Why do they all need to go to the capital for progress report? Lu Shu had a hunch that this time round, the progress report would not be that easy. Unexpected things may happen. However, he was not the least worried. To walk with the geniuses across the country was definitely a good thing. Compared to meeting Nie Ting alone, Lu Shu would rather go with many people. Just have to go with the flow. One more point. Li Yixiao said not to be the disgrace of Yuzhou. Could it be that the Heavenly Network wanted to let pit the geniuses against one another? After all, in the first state, the first batch of chosen geniuses had all risen. The batches following that would surely require grooming. Lu Shu was not sure what would Nie Ting be up to this time. Just take it one step at a time. Setting off tomorrow. He would be taking the train to the capital with Chao Qingzi. He heard that northbound geniuses in the Beijing-Guangzhou route would all be taking this train. Maybe he could meet some interesting characters. Chapter 323, The Ascetic, Part 1. There's money in your card, remember to have your meals on time. Put your clothes in the washing machine and hang them up quickly to dry. Don't watch cartoon all the time, remember to get up and move around after some time. Lu Shu was like a parent about to go on a long trip overseas, but could not stop worrying over his child. Lu Xiaoyu caressed Little Fury and said calmly, Lu Shu, you promised to bring me to the capital. But they don't allow family members. Lu Shu said helplessly. Lu Shu, you've changed, Lu Xiaoyu said coldly. In her arms, Little Fury looked as if there was no more meaning in life. Lu Xiaoyu would rub it when she was at a loss. Little Fury was still not quite capable of resisting. Hey! I said not to watch romance dramas anymore. Lu Shu said, anger rising. The Heavenly Network instructed them not to worry about anything on this trip to the capital for progress report. They had already prepared the tickets, and all basic necessities had also been settled. Most importantly, Li Yixiao reminded them specially to bring their weapons along. Lu Shu would be meeting Chao Qingzi at the terminal in the provincial capital. Zhong Yutong would be there to bring them northwards to the capital. Lu Shu was increasingly certain that this trip to the capital for progress report would not be a simple one. Why could he not shake off the feeling that they were going there to fight? Everything was planned in a tight schedule and Lu Shu had no time to care so much. He was home the same night to pack his luggage and had to leave the following morning at 6 for the provincial capital to catch a train. The trip would take an hour and a half. By then, with proper documents, the Heavenly Network could already bring their cold weapons onto transportations. The transport system nationwide had given them the green light. The next morning, Lu Shu planned to leave alone quietly, but Lu Xiaoyu was adamant about sending him off. She even prepared a present for him. "What's this?" Lu Shu was surprised. "Just open it and you'll know." Lu Xiaoyu grinned. "I had it made to order online." With that, Lu Xiaoyu went back into the house. Lu Shu opened the wrapping and saw a black t-shirt with white prints on it. In front, "Lu Shu is here." At the back, "Lu Shu is gone." At this moment, Lu Xiaoyu emerged from the house. She, too, had changed into a new t-shirt. In front, "Xiaoyu is here." At the back, "Xiaoyu is gone." He had seen this before. "The foreigner is here, the foreigner is gone." Can't believe Lu Xiaoyu used it straight to make t-shirts. Too childish, Lu Shu took this opportunity to get back at Lu Xiaoyu for what she did a few days ago. "You're right, Lu Shu, bear grudge really well. You better wear it." Lu Xiaoyu said, her expression cold. "Fine, I'll wear." Lu Shu put the t-shirt back on. Only then did Lu Xiaoyu smile once again. "Let's go. I'll send you to the train terminal." The pair hailed a cab to the train terminal. At home, Lu Shu would remind Lu Xiaoyu earnestly to eat her meal regularly while she listens with impatience. On the car, Lu Xiaoyu became the one reminding Lu Shu to stay safe and be careful no matter what. At the terminal, Lu Shu realized that Jiang Shui was also already waiting at the entrance to the hall. Lu Shu was momentarily stunned. "Shui, you are going for the progress report too?" Jiang Shui saw Lu Shu and smiled. "Nope, I am here specially to send you off." Right after that, Jiang Shui lowered his voice and said, "This time, the progress report in the capital is unlike usual. Do your best. The Heavenly Network will be reviewing all of you in various aspects. You must be careful in all that you say and do. You will be constantly monitored." Lu Shu finally understood. So that's how it would be? When organizations such as the Heavenly Network pick newcomers to groom, they were indeed even more cautious. So many people mobilized. As for what would be reviewed and how to do so, Jiang Shui said that he had no idea himself. Lu Shu was slightly touched. He did not expect Jiang Shui to come all the way here specially to send him off just so to inform him. Lu Shu thought of the magical energy gathered and felt a wave of pride. He too had given Jiang Shui great assistance, right? Come to think of it, Jiang Shui still owed him a favor. After all, the magical energy was really strong. Lu Shu tested water while feigning nonchalance. Now, magical energy are still growing. Blessed lands are sprouting out in many places. That being said, how is the blessed land at your house? Unexpectedly, Jiang Shui's face suddenly darkened. Jiang Shui went on to say with his teeth gnashing, "I have no idea why the magical energy in my house boomed all of a sudden and a potted plant at home grew so big that it destroyed the house. It is now being rebuilt." Lu Shu felt that he could carry this secret to the grave. Who was it who said that a person had to keep a few secrets for a life well lived? That person is indeed wise. You may not believe if I admit. I did not know that your potted plant is so powerful. Just at this moment, Chao Qingxi, carrying a black backpack, alighted from the morning bus. She went down calmly towards the terminal. Nobody was sending her off, nor was she like other girls who needed to drag along a huge luggage when going to some distant place. Inside, everything would be inside, just like moving house, as if they could not survive if one item was absent. In this age whereby high school girls have started to put on light makeup and boys wear skirts. Chao Qingxi seemed to never have cared much about her image, only that her clothes should be clean and neat. Chao Qingxi arrived at the waiting hall. She seemed not to want to greet Lu Shu at all as she walked right by him, despite them being the only two traveling together from Luocheng. So cold, Jiang Shui sighed. I'm afraid she is the subject of focus this time during the progress report. In her heart, this girl seemed to care only about cultivation. In the Daoyuan classes across the country, her cultivation aptitude seems to be the highest. Also, among the tier aptitude geniuses, she was the only one to have distinguished herself in battle. So hard to see what she's thinking, Lu Shu shook his head. He realized that he might not have received any distress points from Chao Qingxi at all. Either her heart was like still water and would not produce any negative feelings, or she had ways to isolate herself from the outside world. Such an exclusively special feeling made Lu Shu curious. If Chao Qingxi really had a way to isolate herself from the outside world, Lu Shu really wanted to find out more. After the documents Lu Shu produced were checked online, he did not even have to go through any security check. The terminal let him pass through straight without any red lights. When he placed his identity card on the scanner, what came out were words like confidential and a free passage. It did not reveal that he was a Daoyuan class student. In the car, Lu Shu and Chao Qingxi sat beside each other. She would forever be with her eyes closed, cultivating. Even though she was already at the peak of Class D, she never stopped exercising the sun's rotation to stabilize her own state. As for Lu Shu, he took out his Japanese language self-study material he had bought previously to study. He suddenly felt that the silent Chao Qingxi beside him was like an ascetic. Chapter 324, What Happened to the Distress Points? For the entire journey, there was no conversation between Lu Shu and Chao Qingxi, as though they were two strangers whose seats were adjacent by chance. Lu Shu would become very focused once he concentrated on learning, even if it was Japanese, which he would use together with the head-twisting gourd for name revelation purposes in the future. Some students were even better. They sat in front of their desks, but actually taking in nothing. When they were done, they packed up their learning materials so seriously as if they had just finished a news broadcast. As soon as Lu Shu alighted from the bus, he saw Zhong Yutong already waiting at the platform. Behind him, there were 4 students with swords in their hands, looking like Class A geniuses too. Lu Shu had met most of them outside the Beimang remains, and he knew they were all native geniuses from Yuzhou. He could still recall that previously, one of the girls had no makeup at all, but now she was wearing thick gold-color eyeshadow and a pretty blush, looking like Monkey King. Lu Shu was frustrated. Wouldn't the Heavenly Network please do something about it? That same girl was wearing simple outfit last time, but now even her backpack was branded. Likely she had been recruited by some family. Now that she's rich, she could easily show off, Lu Shu thought. Although he did not entertain the idea, it was none of his business. After all, everyone could make their own decisions. Actually, the girl was studying his blue hair too while he was examining her makeup. Despite the fact that much of the color had already faded and black hair emerged visible again, the light blue in his hair was so obvious as though it was glowing. They too were pretty much the same. Long time no see, Lu Shu greeted Zhong Yutong casually. He was well disposed towards this chief manager of Yuzhou Heavenly Network for his work attitude. If not for the burden, Li Yixiao, Lu Shu thought that Zhong Yutong could have done even better. From Zhong Yutong's distress, plus 66. Lu Shu was stunned for a moment. How come you felt distressed the second you saw my face? This was so wrong. Speaking of which, Zhong Yutong must have been nearing the peak of Class C the last time they met half a year ago for him to do his job well as the chief manager of Yuzhou. Then why hadn't him ascended yet? Was it really so difficult to upgrade from Class C to B? However, when Lu Shu studied him closely, he sensed the weakening in Zhong Yutong's waves of spirit qi. Lu Shu was shocked. Could it be that his cultivation abilities had regressed due to overwork? It couldn't be. Lu Shu suddenly felt that something was not right. Instead of weaker, Zhang Yutong's waves were actually more condensed, which gave the illusion that Lu Shu felt previously. This was a bit weird. Zhang Yutong started the introduction. All of you are Yuzhou class aptitude geniuses. This time, you will be reporting your progress to the capital. Hence, I hope that the 6 of you can work together and do not cause any trouble. Since there's still a few minutes before the train arrival, you can introduce yourselves. After that, Zhang Yutong stepped aside to make a phone call to some unknown person, leaving behind the 6 people talking awkwardly at the platform. A thought suddenly struck Lu Shu. Was it really okay for such a big group of class aptitude geniuses to gather on the same train? After all, the Beijing-Guangzhou line was a densely populated area. It was possible that half of the class aptitude geniuses from the entire country were clustered on this railway line. If something happened to this train full of geniuses, the competence of the heavenly network might experience an awkward gap in the future. To the heavenly network, it was highly likely that geniuses of class aptitude were one of their most important resources. After self-introduction, Lu Shu learned that the makeup girl was He Xia and the other girl was Lu Shuerua. The 2 boys were Wang Li and Xiu Qiao, who was very tanned. Lu Shu was amused upon his first sight of Xiu Qiao. Louis Ku, was that you, Louis Ku? Despite their dissimilar appearance, they were equally dark. Judging from then, Yuzhou's class aptitude geniuses consisted of 3 girls and 2 boys, excluding Lu Shu. Just a while ago, there was discussion on the Golden Foundation forum about whether boys had a better chance at cultivation, which was contrary to the actual observation now. But of course, one could not make a sweeping statement solely based on the 5 people from one single state. Zhang Yutong hung up the call when he saw a train arriving from afar. Still, please be reminded that you are representing the honor of the entire Yuzhou. Thus, you are expected to be in your optimal state all the time. Also, although Lu Shu's aptitude is only at the lowest level, I hope you can still feel free to approach him for help whenever necessary. I can't go further about that. Lu Shu was unhappy. What did he mean by he couldn't go further about that? Wasn't he intent on mocking him by only mentioning his aptitude but not his abilities? But before Lu Shu could protest, Zhang Yutong pulled him aside. The superiors have said, your abilities and military ranking are confidential. Why on earth must he hide it since he awakened to his powers by himself? Could it be the heavenly network had some special arrangement for him? Moreover, Lu Shu was a little confused. Why did everyone keep referring to them as the representatives of Yuzhou? Were they going to compete against students from other states or what? They must be joking. Zhang Yutong arranged them to board the number 12 carriage once the train arrived and everyone started looking for their own bed, according to their tickets in the soft sleeper carriage. Immediately, Lu Shu noticed that it was as if his ticket number was purposely separated from the rest of Yuzhou students. They were at the head, while he almost the rear. Not sure whether it was Zhang Yutong's plan, Lu Shu was on the brink of frustration. He would never believe it if Zhang Yutong denied any awareness of it. Based on the fact that there were already a number of students in the carriage, it seemed that the entire soft sleeper section had been booked by the heavenly network. When Lu Shu made his way along the long aisle, he received several curious stares from students in other compartments. They were all aware that this carriage was full of teenage geniuses just like themselves. When Lu Shu found his own bed, he was about to jump. Other people's compartments all had at least 4 people, but why his was totally empty? Why? Worried that I might disturb their cultivation? Lu Shu almost flipped his table. What happened to the distress points? Could it be another arrangement from the heavenly network? Sitting in his compartment alone, Lu Shu was in deep thought for 10 minutes. Damn the arrangement. Apparently, those people did not want him to distract those geniuses from their cultivation. Did someone report him? Lu Shu went back to deep thought again. At that moment, the train had started moving. A student of a tiny build appeared at his door. Are you the only one in this compartment? Glad to meet you, I am Iran. Chapter 325, Chasing the Floods. Lu Shu froze for a moment and answered subconsciously, "Hello. My name is Lu Li." Ran did not ask for Lu Shu's name in the first place. Stunned, he stared at the "Lu Shu is coming" and "Lu Shu is gone" on Lu Shu's t-shirt. After pondering for a full 30 seconds, he asked, "Isn't your name Lu Shu?" Embarrassed, Lu Shu shot another glance at his t-shirt and smiled. "Lu Shu is my name, but Lu Li is my nickname." From Ran's distress, plus 199. Fine, I believe you, Ran thought to himself. At that time, Ran already felt that Lu Shu was not a very reliable fellow. Lu Shu was not the only person Ran had greeted, he had greeted those in other compartments too. As though making friends in a forum, he did not have the air of a genius at all. Take a look at the other soft sleeper compartments. Other geniuses seemed rather arrogant with their powers, but Ran was a rare exception. Well, one could not deny it seemed very impressive that they were fetched by people from the Heavenly Network, assigned soft sleeper seats, and moreover, they were going to the capital to make a progress report. It was the same as some girls who thought they were from royal families whenever they walked along a long spiral staircase, and those teenagers that saw themselves as MV stars when looking outside the window from a car seat. Or even those who dreamed of being CEOs the moment they stepped into a car, with the illusion that someone in the front passenger seat would report to them immediately. Bullshit. Now, all those geniuses put on airs and turned their noses at one another. Just like how the saying went, people of the same trade seldom agree. Basically, the situation was that it was extremely rare for a class aptitude genius to know another class A genius. This was because a single city could rarely produce more than one class A genius, and Chao Qingxi, for example, was the only one of her kind in the entire Luocheng. Maybe people like Ran would see everyone as brothers and sisters, and to him, more friends meant a broader social network. But Lu Shu disagreed. First off, it was already a wrong start to make friends for their potential usefulness, and a wrong start would certainly lead to a wrong end. Furthermore, some people claimed that they had friends from all over the country, but in practice, they would all disappear when needed. After Ran left, Lu Shu still did not bother to go meet the other geniuses. He was fine with reaping a round of distress points, but socializing? Not interested. It was not that he was unwilling to make friends, but he always remained passive in such relationships. For instance, Chen Zuan, the little fatty, was now a friend to Lu Shu. Nothing much to say here. The little fatty was a nice guy, just a bit exaggerated. But to a teenage boy like Chen Zuan, there was nothing wrong with some slight exaggeration, right? The train soon went past 6 to 7 stations, and another 6 students came aboard. At the current rate, there would really be more than 30 Class A aptitude geniuses on that train. After another round of learning Japanese, Lu Shu started watching Naruto. All thanks to Lu Xiaoyu's influence. However, Lu Shu thought watching Naruto could more or less help him improve his Japanese. Moreover, he could learn about mid-water escape too. Honestly speaking, it was the first time that Lu Shu had the mood for anime. In the past, where could he find the time? Now it seemed that he was starting to get addicted too. But the problem was, the use of water elements in Naruto was not applicable in real life. For example, the water techniques could be used to release water after condensing it into a shark. Yet, in animes it could be justified as the sheer power of ninjutsu, special techniques used by Japanese ninjas. But in reality, water is water. It would be wiser to condense water into high-pressure water blades than sharks. Actually, there was one that was rather useful, transforming oneself into water to avoid harm. Though Lu Shu had yet to acquire the ability of changing himself into water elements, Anthony seemed to have it. If not, how did he perform mid-soil escape? However, at that moment, Lu Shu suddenly sensed an immense wave of spirit chi arise from outside the window located in the front left of the train. There lay a huge river, over which there was a bridge that the train was about to cross. In the wilderness, a group of 12 Caucasians silently stared at the slowly approaching train on the horizon. To them, a train traveling at 80 or even over 100 kilometers per hour was indeed slow. Cleared. They are all students. No masters. Don't be fooled. Last time, Mengza and 6 other morons went upstream from Asen and now their bodies are nowhere to be found. I suspect they were ambushed, one sneered. We are not like them. Having been hidden for so long, what we have been doing all day is just endless business. This is so boring. All I want to do now is simply get the job done and go for a good holiday. How about going shark fishing? Don't underestimate them. One of the students is Class C, strength type. His performance was exceptional at the Salt Lake remains. He has to be captured alive. I suspect he is related to Chin Bailey's breakthrough. Interesting. 27, we will go and handle him. Okay. 11, you send us to the bridge later. It seemed that they were all named after numbers. These could only be code names, since such names were unlikely to exist in the entire world. What are we waiting for? For someone to go upstream. Is he coming personally? Yes. When the train was 1 kilometer away from them, an eerie spray suddenly welled up amidst the rapid currents. Shockingly, a transparent human figure rose up vertically from the river surface. It asked in a husky voice, "Is there any change in the plan?" The 12 people on the shore all showed humble respect. The leader lowered his voice, "No. Please do as you wish." The waterman nodded, "Proceed as usual." Then, he returned to the water, as though nothing had ever happened. But the 12 people all went quiet. In Lu Shu's speculation, he was not able to transform himself into water elements, but someone in Class B should be able to. Following this line of thought, that person must be Class B or above. As the train thundered towards the bridge, it seemed to not yet notice the impending danger. Defenseless, the long train drove onto the bridge, like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. All of a sudden, following a deafening roar upstream, the currents became rapid again. The rolling spray could almost be felt on people's faces more than 10 meters away on the shore. Like a tsunami, the flood that peaked as high as over 20 meters, swept towards the bridge. One person's eyes were full of yearning and admiration, his power has increased. For a moment, all 12 of them started running with all their strength towards the train which had already reached the midsection of the bridge. They were going to destroy the 12th carriage, and all lives contained within.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty, man, we just putting on a show.